Hey, it's Daddy Steve. Please like and subscribe. Okay, so I'm going to do the ultimate, best in class, best you ever heard, best you ever seen review and in-depth discussion of Commander Guan Yu. Guan Yu got 5 years experience, so here we go. Right, so we're going to go through the skills, what we're going to do. We're not going to pretend that he's got a secondary commander there at all, just to give you a quick heads up. It's only going to be looking at Guan Yu in isolation. And when we move on, you're going to have a test or control condition where we imagine that he's going against a random bunch of commanders, and we'll just imagine how he would do against that random mixed bag of commanders, which you'll normally get in a KVK kind of brawl or melee. And then also imagine as a wider kind of context, what if everybody, say if it was on the KVK, that one little section we could only send one army, say if everybody from your army only sent one commander type, and this time it happens to be Juan, and when I talk about somebody else, it will be, say if everybody sent that one commander to that area of KVK where they can only send one commander type, what is the likely outcome? That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. Right, so anyway, we're looking at the first skill, Saint of War. Saint of War does area of effect damage, AOE, area of effect, rage cost 1000. Deals direct damage to up to 3 enemies in a fan, damage factor 2000, and that's reduced to 1000 if a secondary commander, brackets, we will never, ever, ever, and I have seen it, I've seen it, not in a while, usually in the kind of the canyon thing. Never, ever, ever use Juan as a secondary commander. Just never, right? After those 3 enemy troops that are hit, for each additional target, second and third basically, that are hit, it will be reduced by 15% in turn. Now we get to the main skill. The main skill, and this is the reason why Juan is my number one. Number one. Listen, if they introduce other commanders, I will reassess, and I do give you what's it called again? Full disclosure. I'm an infantryman. All right, cool. So they're not only silenced. They're silenced for 3 seconds. When we look at other commanders, we look how long their active skill runs for, and we'll think about how much overlap there is going to be, or likely to be, or possibly to be, if I remember, with the other commanders. But anyway, 2000 primary skill damage. Otherwise, it's 1000 if secondary. Never going to use secondary, brackets. Second skill, 5 Tiger Generals. It's a passive skill, aka just happens automatically without need for rage. It's when attacking a city or stronghold. Keep that in mind. So when attacking a city or stronghold, their troops deal 15% more normal damage. When launching a basic attack, it has a 10% chance to reduce the target's attack by 30% for 3 seconds. I don't recommend it, and the cooldown's 3 seconds. I don't recommend using this to attack cities. They're better rally commanders. Let's move on. Commanders, infantry units gain 30% attack and 15% march speed. That's what it is. Whenever the troop exits combat, it recovers, it gets a healing factor of 1000. Okay. This type is single. For a single target, it has once your main skill fires, otherwise known as Saint of War, one of those targets has a 50% chance to have an additional damage factor of 1000 if it's hitting one target. But if you're hitting more than one, all those additional targets, whether it's 2 or the 3, which is the maximum, have a chance of having additional damage of 1400. So if my computer brain, maximum damage is 2400. Let's go back to this primary skill. Going back to the scenario, I said the area on KVK where you can only send one army. Just say that if everybody from your kingdom only sent one army, and in this instance, just for the sake of argument, just so I can have a test condition and really talk about it, say if they sent Guan Yu. His primary skill, you've got to imagine these skills are going to be firing all the time at different times. And say if our troops, because we're Guan Yu, representing Guan Yu this time, we're silencing the enemy, sporadically. between us, overlapping, silencing affects everybody, and it's going to cover 3 seconds. How often, realistically, are they going to launch their primary skill? And in every instance, that comes to my mind anyway, the primary skill, this first skill, is the most damaging skill of all. And if that is silenced, and we're all actively silencing their side, we're still firing our side, 2,400, plus the additional attack damage here and there. Who's going to win? Who does win? From my own experience, and maybe it mirrors your own, maybe it doesn't. When I'm in a situation, there's going to be times when my Juan is surrounded and targeted. I like to go like full deep, you know what I mean? So I ain't really that shirking. And even then, he still does reasonably well. Listen, of course, if he's getting surrounded by numerous troops, he's one against many, you're not going to come off on the right side. But all things considered, he still does very well. And of course, if he's up against two, he's not going to do as well as up against 1-1. But if 2 and up to 3, given his skill and ability to silence for the reason I just mentioned before, you're going to do very well. You're going to do very well. It's my number 1, mainly because of that silence skill. If they ever nerfed that silent skill, and I don't know, all of a sudden, hey presto, some or most or the most potent enemies out there have some kind of anti-silence, I might have to think again, or some kind of invulnerability to silence, and I'll have to think again. But that's just not the current meta. Not the current meta. This guy's boss dog. The other additional factors are infantry tend to be a little bit more tanky than aka have more health. Than the cavalry or the archers, so you have that as well. But yeah, there's going to be less march speed. I've said in other videos, I don't care less about march speed as such. I care about what damage, what do you bring to the battle once you reach there. Yeah, and again, in that scenario where you go into that map where you can only have one army, once you get there, and if everybody else was there, I'm not saying that you should do that, but if you were, and then the other side's only being silenced, of course you got a great chance. That's it, really. I'm just going to talk a little bit more broadly outside of the box, just other things to consider. So, often forgotten. Where is it? Where is he? Here it is. Sorry. I've got Juan as my constable, so I get an extra 3%, so 1% defense and health because he's my primary commander. In terms of civilization, I tend to go with Ottoman, just because it maximizes skill damage, and everybody else apart from Luce, when I'm going into war, they tend to be skill damage commanders. And from a talent tree, this is my talent tree, so have a quick look. Gone. Before I take it away. So that you can have an idea where I'm coming from. I've done a video elsewhere and why I've got this particular talent tree, and I haven't focused on areas like march speed. There's a lot of other videos out there that talk about march speed. All good for them, that's their opinion. As I said, when I get to the point of war, I like to have my attack, I like to have my health, I like to have my defense maximized, not my ability to run. I'm not a runner anyway, Nope, not today. Anyway, that's all good. That's it. That's everything. So please like and subscribe. That is Steve, and I am out.